For more than half a century, Albano Carisi has embodied one of Italy's most captivating voices. A singer, author, composer, and half of the mythical duo Albano and Romina Power, he has captivated millions of listeners with timeless melodies and a love story that seemed to spring from a fairy tale. But behind the glory and the applause hid a man carrying silent wounds, scars that no hit song, even a #1, could erase. Today, at over 80 years old, Albano has finally spoken the words his fans long suspected, without ever imagining they would one day hear them. A confession matured over decades, concerning love, loss, and the truth behind a life he had never fully revealed. What did he confess after so many years? And why now? It is a story that begins with a love that sang across the world. It all began in 1967, when Albano first laid eyes on Romina Power. The world seemed to tilt. He was a passionate young singer from the sunny village of Salino San Marco in southern Italy, dreaming of big stages. She was the daughter of Hollywood legend Tyrone Power, a radiant artist blessed with a gentle voice and a poetic heart. Despite their different worlds, their first glance was electric. Their meeting on the set of the film Nel Sole, a musical inspired by Albano's song, was no accident. It was destiny bringing them together to write an extraordinary story. Their artistic collaboration quickly transformed into a deep love. While their connection was immediate, their love story took time to blossom, nurtured by long conversations, laughter backstage, and that strange feeling that their lives had always been waiting for each other. In 1970, they decided to marry against all odds. Some were skeptical, others delighted, but for them, nothing else mattered. "We believe in love," Albano would say, "and when you believe in love, everything else is just noise." Their union was both romantic and artistic. Their worlds merged into a harmonious melody. "Romina was the harmony my melody was missing," Albano confided. From their first duo single, Storia di due innamorati, in 1970, their vocal alchemy was evident. It wasn't just a song, but a declaration of love to the world, two hearts venturing hand in hand into the unknown. Their love grew with their family, which expanded to include 4 children. Their fame also exploded, but glory was not their goal. Every song was an expression of the joy of their union. In 1975, their first joint album marked the beginning of a romantic, melodic, and sincere sonic signature. The following year, they represented Italy at Eurovision with We'll Live It All Again, a heart-wrenching ballad sung in Italian and English. Though they finished 7th, they had already secured an eternal place in their fans' hearts. In the 1980s, Albano and Romina Power became cultural icons in Italy, Europe, and Latin America. Their songs like Scherzen and Felicita brought joy to millions. When they performed Felicita at the Sanremo Festival, it was as if the entire world was dancing with them. That song became a symbol of happiness, an anthem for all who believe in the power of love and music. Their albums, sung in Italian, Spanish, and French, crossed borders, welcoming listeners from all over the world. They didn't just sing about love. They built bridges of emotion, culture, and human connection. Their audience followed them from country to country, captivated not only by their voices, but by the authenticity of their bond. Away from the spotlight, their life in Segli Massapica, in their home in Salino San Marco, was like a sweet ballad, a home filled with warmth, music, and the laughter of children. Their friends often described their daily life as simple yet enchanted. "She would hum while cooking," Albano recalled in an interview, a gentle smile on his lips, "and I would follow her with my guitar. That was our life. Singing, always singing." Their love story continued to be written in music with albums like C'è Angelo Se, Effetto Amore, and Semper Semper, which added new chapters to their legend. In 1984, their return to Sanremo with Si Sarah was a triumph. The song didn't just win the festival. It confirmed their unshakable place in the hearts of Italians. When they sang, it wasn't just a performance. It was an open window onto something profoundly real. 2 souls promising eternity to the entire world. Even as the years passed, their star never dimmed. In 1987, Nostalgia Canaglia once again charmed the Sanremo audience, and their albums Liberta and Fragile maintained a remarkable freshness and relevance. They weren't simply aging artists. They had become living symbols of enduring love, sung proof that a shared dream could last for decades. In 1991, they returned to Sanremo for what would be their final duo performance at the festival with the song Oggi Sposi. The title, Married Today, was a poetic nod to all they had experienced together. That same year, they celebrated their 25 years of artistic and sentimental partnership by publishing an autobiography and a documentary, Autoritratto dalla Ala R. It was a moment to look back on the magic they had created, not only through microphones and cameras, but in their everyday lives. But like all great stories, theirs too came to an end. In 1999, after nearly 30 years together, they chose to separate. There was no scandal, no front-page betrayal, just a discreet and dignified farewell. "We had a beautiful story," Romina later confided. And like all beautiful stories, it had its time. Yet, even when the romance faded, the music remained. Their songs continued to transcend eras, resonating at weddings, in cafes, on the radio, becoming the soundtrack to the most precious memories. For many, Albano and Romina were not just a famous couple. They were a reminder that true love leaves behind a melody that never truly fades. Then, in 2013, the world witnessed an unexpected event. The legendary duo reunited for a concert in Moscow. It was not a revival of their love story, but rather a celebration of the harmony they had once shared and could still find again. Back on stage, their voices danced together as if time had never separated them. "It was moving," Albano stated afterward. "Not because of the past, but thanks to the music. It was the music that brought us together." They performed again in 2014 and 2015, including during an emotional return to Sanremo. And though they were no longer husband and wife, they stood side by side, not as former lovers, but as artists forever bound by a story the world will never forget. But behind the peaceful image of their separation, Albano and Romina Power eventually revealed the storms that tore their marriage apart. The most devastating blow came in 1994 with the mysterious disappearance of their daughter, Ilenia Carisi. Just 23 years old, Ilenia vanished without a trace during a trip to New Orleans. A witness later claimed to have seen a young woman matching her description jump into the Mississippi River, shouting, "I belong to the water." Her body was never found. This tragedy shook the very foundations of their family and, as they both later admitted, pushed their already fragile marriage past the point of no return. Overwhelmed by grief, Albano eventually accepted Ilenia's presumed death. In 2013, he officially declared her deceased. But Romina could never resign herself to it. She continued to believe her daughter was alive, launching heartfelt appeals on social media and even returning to the United States to search for clues. Her unwavering faith became a symbol of hope, but also a source of deep tension between the former spouses. The Ilenia tragedy did not just bring pain. It reopened long-buried wounds in their relationship. For the first time in 2011, Albano publicly accused Romina of having introduced their daughter to drug use, a weighty allegation that further darkened their already painful story. And Albano continued, his heart heavy, pointing the finger at Romina as the one who had initiated him into drugs. He asserted, "When I met her, I absolutely did not know she used drugs. My only desire was to love her and help her escape that dark world." But his accusations went much further, becoming increasingly explosive. He even stated that, shortly before Ilenia's tragic disappearance, Romina had flirted with their own daughter's fiancé, allegations that Romina has, of course, always firmly and categorically denied. Albano's revelations did not stop there. In a particularly intimate and painful interview, he admitted for the very first time that drugs were the true reason for their breakup. "I'm saying it today, for the first time," he confided, his voice raw with emotion. The problem was marijuana. Romina smoked that substance up to 4 times a day, and it had been going on for years, long before Ilenia disappeared. According to him, this addiction transformed her. She was joyful, almost euphoric when under the influence, Then she would sink into an abyssal sadness and incessant tears when the effects wore off. She had become unrecognizable. The man saw the woman he had so cherished turn into a stranger. She had lost all her passion, that flame which animated them both, for life itself, for everything they had patiently built together. It was, he insists, the beginning of the end. He even remembers trying marijuana just once, just to try and understand her world. And his experience was a crushing failure. I couldn't even write a number correctly. I drew it vertically. And he concluded bitterly, I hate substances that take you away from reality. They create an artificial world, and that artificial world destroyed us. For her part, Romina was deeply wounded by these public accusations. Her lawyer, Alexandra Fienga, immediately stepped up, publishing a scathing statement, calling Albano's remarks completely false, extremely defamatory, and gravely prejudicial to the honor of Romina and their daughter, Ilenia. The media conflict had begun. Romina had first appeared on Spanish television, where she had described Albano as an authoritarian husband and father, provoking a wave of public outrage. But in a surprising reversal, she later walked back her statements, claiming her words had been truncated, taken out of context. I never meant to portray him as a violent man, she assured. If that's the image people got, I apologize. Yet, these apologies did nothing to calm the storm. The tempest continued to rage. His legal team remained uncompromising, explicitly threatening to sue Albano for defamation. And he, visibly shaken, retorted with crystal-clear bitterness. Romina is no longer the person I knew. She lives in a world I don't recognize. I always treated her like a Madonna. I never mistreated her. I'm the best father in the world, and I can prove it. In another gut-wrenching admission, he added, Romina lied to the press. She lied about people constantly smoking. She even told me once that she got top grades in university thanks to marijuana, which gave her energy. I shot back that it wasn't real success. I'd have rather seen her fail but stay sober. This decision, however painful, was a necessary act for him. Legally declaring Ilenia deceased was not surrendering hope, he later explained, but a desperate attempt to find some semblance of peace for his family. Yet this administrative gesture never managed to bridge the emotional chasm that had opened between him and Romina. Even years later, when they shared the stage, a strange contrast emerged. Their artistic chemistry shone with undiminished brilliance, their voices merging seamlessly as in their finest days. But once the spotlight faded, the silent, unbridgeable rift remained. It was in this profound solitude, in the early 2000s, that Albano found unexpected solace in Loredana Lachiso. A TV host from Lecce, she simply crossed paths with him outside their children's school. At the time, Albano was shattered, emotionally drained. I was alone, he would say. So alone I even thought of ending it all. Loredana, however, saw beyond the myth, beyond the public persona, to glimpse the vulnerable man behind the legend. What began as mutual support, a hand extended in darkness, quickly blossomed into love. By 2001, a year after his final divorce from Romina, their relationship became official. 2 children, Jasmine and Albano Jr., were born from their union, bringing new light into his life. But the transition wasn't easy. The Italian public, still captivated by the shattered fairy tale of Albano and Romina, greeted Loredana with palpable skepticism. Some even accused her of trying to replace Romina, a toxic comparison that haunted her for years. Albano, however, staunchly defended her, declaring, "She entered my life when I needed someone most." Yet even this redemptive relationship wasn't without struggle. Albano himself admitted the first 3 years with Loredana were his happiest, before tensions began to fray their bond. Jealousy, particularly fueled by Romina's constant presence in his professional life, cast a shadow between them. The couple eventually parted quietly, seemingly retracing the path of his previous marriage. But life wasn't done with them. Despite the separation, Albano and Loredana never fully closed the door. And in 2024, Loredana broke her silence in a poignant interview with Oggi magazine. "Every morning, he still brings me a rose. she confessed, her voice tinged with both pride and deep vulnerability. We're still together, against all odds. After a quarter-century by his side, her view of love had grown clear-eyed and mature, stripped of illusions. I made mistakes, she admitted. I was inexperienced. I thought love alone was enough. That was naive. At the heart of this tumultuous life lies the music. These songs are far more than notes and melodies. They are a man's private diary, reflecting his joys and heartbreaks. On one side, there's the blazing legacy of a love that captivated Italy. A love so intense it became public property, almost a national treasure. On the other, there's Loredana, the woman in the shadows. His anchor in the darkest hours, who raised their children with quiet strength, and who endured years of being measured against an intangible myth, the public's beloved ghost. At 77, Albano has finally chosen to break the silence that weighed on him for decades. Not just about Romina, not just about Loredana either. He's unveiled a truth many fans had sensed. A truth far more complex and nuanced than the simple tale they've been told. For love, you see, isn't always a straight, clear line. It doesn't always obey society's rules. Sometimes it returns much later in another form, like a familiar melody rearranged. Sometimes it doesn't shout from rooftops. It lingers, quiet, patient, persistent, but it is no less real or profound. From the unfathomable pain of losing a daughter, to the two great loves that defined his life, to the surreal moments sharing stages with the woman he once called the love of his life, only to return each night to another, the one who has brought him a rose every morning all these years. Albano has lived it all. The grand and the humble, tragedy and resilience, the glare of spotlights and the intimacy of a kitchen. But now it's your turn to speak. What do you think? Do you believe that deep down, Albano's heart still belongs to Romina Power, despite the years and the separations? Or has Loredana always been his true love, his safe harbor, the one who remained steadfastly by his side when the spotlights faded and silence fell? We are truly interested in your opinion, so please don't hesitate to share it with us in the comments just below. And if this story, this blend of music, sorrow, and human resilience, has touched you, remember to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell, because we have many more equally captivating stories to share with you very soon.